Hey guys, welcome back. Today is my first dive into the Rivian R1T. There's a couple things I want to look at this episode, if you will. So I want to know, well, one, how does it stack up to the other big names in the game right now? So the Cybertruck's right around the corner, and the Ford Lightning is even closer around that corner. So this guy, this Rivian, is making all these headlines lately. You know, it was always on my radar, but now it's really on my radar. I finally did some diving into it. I just want to talk a little bit about it. There's a lot of things they did right, and then there's a lot of things that I'm scratching my head about. So let's get into it. So the first thing I've been hearing so many people say is like how Rivian's doing like a better job than Tesla's doing with the Cybertruck. So I was like, maybe that's right. And then I did a little, just one Google search. And so what's interesting is the Rivian was actually announced before the Cybertruck, and I didn't know that. Almost exactly 1 year. Rivian was announced November 15th of 2018, and then the Cybertruck was on November 21st of 2019. Now, with Rivian's original, like much like Tesla, basically what I'm saying here is they followed the exact same like delays and you name it. They both hit the same road gaps and are equally far behind. So you're saying, yeah, the R1T is coming before the Cybertruck, but at the same time, they were also announced a year before. Which is just interesting. I'm not saying anyone did anything wrong. It's just, you know, I learned something. What's funny is the same way that Cybertruck, I think, originally wanted to be out in 2021. Yeah, right. Rivian announced that they were going to have theirs ready in 2020. And, you know, everyone's a little bit behind. That's all. It's been, there's a million excuses too, like, of course, and they're legitimate excuses. We had a damn pandemic. Like, I get it. So then the next thing I wanted to know, and you probably did too as well, we saw the hundreds and hundreds and thousands, and now we're at millions of reservations for the Cybertruck. Well, how many are we at for the Rivian? Now, it's not as easy to find that information, but I found a couple articles in 2020, about exactly a year ago, they were at 30,000, and now they're projected between 50 and 70 from what I found. And that's actually really impressive, because the Cybertruck, you just needed $100 and you could say, yeah, I have a Cybertruck on the way. There's a lot of probably even like 18-year-olds who did that just to look cool in high school. When the reality of the Rivian, you needed $1,000 to reserve it, which means I think they're going to have a higher conversion rate of the people who signed up and who will actually end up buying the car. I think it'll do well. I think they're actually have to make 70,000 cars for people who are excited about a truck. I say cars and trucks, just know that I mean vehicle. Little side note, and I'm going to bring a third competitor here that, bear with me. So I think that the Lightning, backing up, the Cybertruck, the $100 thing, that was genius. They had that big platform. It was a huge fundraising stunt, I guess. They made a lot of money, a lot of reservations, and they're able to do a lot of great things with that money and innovate on the car that they're building. Now, Ford, I didn't think needed to do that, and I don't get... My problem with Ford doing it for the Lightning is that they're going to get the same effect of half people who just threw it down to say they want it. And that makes it really hard for people who are really interested in it. Like, you don't know if you're going to get a car right now. And that really bugs me, because I'm one of those people where I really do want a Ford Lightning. But I have no idea if half the people who put in their reservation in front of me are going to fall out if they're really interested. There's like, yes, you can look at the Mach-E stats, but the truck is just such a new world, right? It's not just EV people and their habits. You have to study truck people and their habits. And did they put $100 on just out of curiosity? I bet a lot of people did. I think I did that at first before I learned about how great it was. So knowing all of that, it kind of makes me wish that you needed to fork up a little more for people who are really interested in buying it. And then this whole reservation thing wouldn't be so anxiety inducing. It made me start making videos just because my wife was sick of me talking about, I think I might get a car. Oh, I'm on the reservation list. Oh, it looks like I'm not getting it. Oh man. And just like all these new headlines based on everything I read. So now I'm just venting to this camera in my basement. So all that to say, I kind of think they did it right. I like that Rivian. It required a little more down. It's especially because they're so small. It was like, now they know exactly how many they need to make. They can brace themselves for that. So let's get into some of the headlines they've had recently. Like they just said they're going public. I found this out through an Elon Musk tweet that I found kind of funny, but also was a good point. So when Rivian filed for IPO seeking $80 billion evaluation, Musk replies that he doesn't want to be unreasonable, but maybe they should be required to deliver at least one vehicle per $1 billion of evaluation before the IPO. So all he's asking for is 80, which is funny. And it says a lot of people, putting their money behind Rivian right now, who's only have a couple demo vehicles out right now. They're not mass producing. And all of this is just a roundabout way of, I think, Elon saying, well, hey, it's easier said than done, and there's a lot more to it than just creating a great vehicle. You need to have the infrastructure and the means to create it on a mass scale. But that's not it. There's tons of Amazon funding behind Rivian too for fleet vehicles that they're going to use for deliveries. Like Rivian's blowing up, and my guess is they've done a lot of private showings, and people aren't just throwing money for no reason. They probably have a pretty great product. To me, it's priced pretty high, but at the same time you get a lot for it. I think it's going to be a pretty good success. So I'm happy to see what they're going to keep doing, and I bet it's going to be really great stuff. And then that leads us into the latest headline, which proves everything I just said, and it's their EPA ratings on their new truck. So their standard range, which is $10,000 cheaper than their max pack, which is a whole other thing that we have to talk about, came in at 314 miles, and that's a pretty great range for the standard car, vehicle, truck, whatever. And now that 114 might be a little less than a lot of the Teslas, but it's a battle. I think it's neck and neck. We're talking the matter of like 40 or 50 mile difference, which is a lot to some people, but to me, anything over 300, hell, over 250 is more than enough for me. So that's a contender in my book. Now let's talk about that max pack, and Ford's doing the same thing, and it's really driving me crazy. $10,000 for essentially like 80 more miles. I don't get it. Like, that's a lot for a little, in my opinion. And Ford's, at least you see, let me tell you more. So the Ford is roughly, there's marketing literature going around the Lightning, and it reads something along the lines of standard range at 250 miles starts at $39,000, $40,000. And then the extended range, which is 300, and that one starts at 49. And then they trickle in a couple other things like the reverse charging and more ports and more power. Even that doesn't seem like it's worth $10K to me. And I know I'm wrong here because a lot of people have been saying that they want the extra range, but to me, it seems so. I guess to be fair, I don't travel more than, I don't think I travel more than 200 miles. And that's like, I guess that's a good part about living in Michigan, where it's literally 300 and some miles across. So, going up is a little longer, but, and I don't really leave the state. So I guess that makes me a perfect contender for the standard range. So now let's talk that final thing, and probably the most important is, if you were to put your deposit and you wanted the Rivian, when would you get it? And now there's a lot of mixed thoughts on this. I tried my best to really dig in here, but it stays vague. So if you look at it, how many reservations were, like I said, it's almost to 70, give or take of probably 20K, because we don't really know. Again, when you search for it, it says 30, but that's from an article a year ago. I'm sure it's way closer to 70. But on their website, it says deliveries begin January 2022. that's in a couple months. Does that mean if you put your $1,000 down, you'd get it in January though? Probably not. Now, so going back to the article that I mentioned where it said they had 30,000, they said Rivian would have to produce an extra 1,000 trucks every 6 months just to deliver all of them by 2022. So realistically, if you put your reservation in today, you could probably get one sooner than you'd get a Cybertruck, but probably not sooner than you would get it. Well, you know, if you, let me back up. If you haven't put any reservations in, you might as well just get a Model Y because you're not going to get a truck anytime soon. But maybe Rivian would be your best bet, but it costs a little more and you're spending a little more, and you also have to really hope that production goes well. Who knows though? I don't, and hopefully, you know, maybe you are smarter than me. That's great. Okay, guys, I'm going to leave. Thanks for watching this dive into Rivian. I hope you enjoyed and maybe learned a little, because I learned a little bit too. So thanks for watching. Bye. Hopefully at least brought you up to date with what's going on there. And man, I look stupid.